look at pushing our writing not just from the one provocative statement and asking the questions, but rather going back into some of our old entries and seeing if there are some ways we can perhaps incorporate essays from our narrative pieces. So as I looked through my writer's notebook, I'm remembering that this was one that I used 2 years ago. So this could be from your writing from yesterday, from last week, or even from a year ago. I was looking at my piece that I did, and it was the topic When Writing Mattered. And it was about my husband's grandmother, and this is actually a very special piece to me because I wrote this before she had passed away, and she actually passed away last year, if some of you, my sixth graders, remember that. So I'll start by reading it, and then we'll talk about how can we pull an essay out of this. I have found myself saving the handwritten cards and items from my husband's grandma. Each and every visit, phone call, birthday, anniversary, we would receive these treasures. In these treasures, I find not only memories, but evidence of her passion, strength, and zest for life. She disclosed helpful tips and strategies she used throughout her life. She also shared moments she remembered. I especially love her recipes. Not only is she a great cook, but the ability to make these dishes and pass them down to my kids is truly special to me. Her presence in our lives is strongly evident. My husband's mom died when he was at a very young age. Grandma Cook strongly came in and took her place. She played a major role in raising her 4 grandchildren. I imagine her strength carried over into raising her other 5 grandchildren as well. So this was a draft that I originally wrote about a whole different topic. So when I look back at that, I can use these questions to further ask myself and push myself to say, perhaps is there some kind of a topic for an essay in there? So the questions as writers ask of earlier entries. So I say, why is this important to me? And I'm thinking in myself, obviously, through her written word and letters, I learned so much history and valued so many things. What is the important thing about me? Well, I think the idea of how important family is in that time, the fact that she took that care and just even how her writing was, showed the amount of time that she spent connecting with her family. Why am I remembering this? How does it connect to who I am or to important issues in my life? Then I start to think about time, perhaps in our own lives and in my life currently. And when I started to brainstorm and take the time to write out some of these things, and I think, why am I remembering this? How does it connect to who I am or to important issues in my life? And I think about how much time she had to actually do that, and I think of our busy lives and when the last time I actually hand wrote a letter and the purpose of that. And it really did I started generating some ideas based on that. And so finding these issues that are hidden in the entries, I've jotted down: our fast-paced lives leave little time for written correspondence. Technology addiction leads to a time zapper at certain points. Technology takes away from family time. I do find myself checking email right after dinner. Technology brings family closer. If you think about the connections that I make with people around the country that I might not speak to normally. I sometimes think of maybe the laziness of life, where she was handwriting and I am typically typing. Now, with all of that said, we are taking an entry that was written for a narrative, and we can start to see perhaps some topics for an essay, an actual essay. So when we are looking at finding entries in our narratives, finding entries for essays, a couple things that after answering a few of these questions, I jotted down: that our fast-paced lives leave little time for actual written correspondence. Technology addiction, if you will, can lead to less family time. Perhaps the idea that technology can tear a family apart. I come up with that just because I can see myself checking email right after family dinner. Sometimes. I try not to. Technology brings family closer. That is something that is new with the idea of being able to connect at any moment with cousins from around the world, aunts and uncles, at any given time and keep up with their lives very easily. With any one of these topics that I've come up with after asking myself some of these questions about a narrative piece, I should be able to come up with a thesis statement to lead to an actual essay, in which I probably am going to have to do some research and develop facts and to back some of my opinions. Today, I hope that you can understand that in gathering ideas for essays, not only are you noticing things out in the world, in school and at home, as a way to generate essays, but also in pushing your thinking on any given idea that could lead to a strong essay. And lastly today, what we talked about is generating essays from narratives that we've already written.